Welcome to another show of Celebrate Life. My name is Gary Carolis, and I am your host. The focus of this program is to show the amazing lives that people live and are living. The key word here is live. Everyone has a story to tell, and all stories are worth celebrating. Over the years, I've read too many obituaries that left me pondering, I wish I had met that person when they were alive. The intent of this program is to celebrate the lives of everyday Vermonters who are very much alive. If you would like to be a guest on the show or know someone who you think would like to be a guest, please contact me at celebratelife0747@gmail.com. Now, I would like to introduce you to today's guest, Lydia Diamond. Hello, Lydia.
Hello.
Welcome.
So nice to meet you.
Well,
Thank
good to
you
meet
for
you
having
too.
me. Yay!
So we'll celebrate your life today. And where would you like to begin?
Well, I'd like to dedicate this particular Celebrate Life to my auntie.
Okay.
And she will be 85 this year. And she loves to celebrate life.
Oh,
And
that's
she does so with family, with events, and she's done quite a few celebrations of life before people pass, you know?
super.
She loves to get the family together in the backyard and sing and dance and reminisce and celebrate life. So this is phenomenal for me.
Oh,
And my
good.
auntie's name is Frances Drayton, and she lives in New Jersey.
Well, we won't hold that against her.
No, we won't. No, don't hold that against her. But she's my
Well,
biggest cheerleader, and she's going to love seeing this.
Oh, that's great. Where in New Jersey is she from?
East Orange,
East Orange, sure. Okay.
yes. And one of her favorite things to do is to celebrate life.
Well, that's great.
Yes,
This
indeed.
show is dedicated to her. Yeah.
Yay, Auntie Frances. I love that she's like an angel in the flesh, you know. Good, bad, and different. I can always call her and she'll pick up that phone and rescue me. And one of the things that I became a part of through her is a prayer line. You know, during the pandemic, you know, when the times were hard and scary and,
Yep.
you know, the isolation.
Yep.
And is the prayer line of elder Black women who pray and pray and pray. And prayer is free. You know, I can't get enough prayer. And the pandemic was hard, but thankfully I was able to join Pentecostal House of Prayer line, you know, and it's one of the ways I got through the pandemic, you know.
That's fantastic.
And so I'm thankful, you know, we recently lost our eldest member, Overseer McLean, but may she rest in peace because I know she's sitting on the right hand of God. So thankful.
Absolutely.
So I'm supposed to be talking about me, right?
Yeah, it's all about you today.
Well, I first came here 30 years ago,
Okay.
summer of '94, thanks to my mom, who's deceased now.
Okay.
But we came here. My mom relocated to Vermont from Brooklyn, New York,
Okay.
and she had my 4 children, and so I followed. And that first year, winter was brutal, you know, because we experienced snowstorms before back home in Brooklyn,
Right.
but not like that first year here in Vermont. But my children loved it.
Did they?
You know,
The snow?
they loved going out and playing in it, and they used to love to go to the wooden park up on what is that, Mount Mansfield, behind it's by
Park.
across from the hospital. Anyway, it was the only wooden park in Burlington, and it was our first introduction that winter. And the kids just played and played and played in that snow. It didn't make sense to me, but they had a good time, you know.
Yes. So how old were you when you came here?
31.
31. And
I'm almost 62.
okay.
This year I'll be 62.
So you had 31 years in Brooklyn.
Yes, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York,
Okay.
Kings County Hospital.
Yeah.
And I love to share that when I was a kid in elementary school, I went to school in my neighborhood with people who look like me, you know, teachers and neighbors. And then in middle school, same thing. I went to school in my neighborhood with my friends, with people who look like me. High school, I didn't have a choice. I was bussed out to Fort Hamilton High School in Bay Ridge or Canarsie, something like that, Brooklyn.
Wow.
But it was a white neighborhood.
Wow.
And the children were so mean and nasty.
Wow.
It made high school a nightmare. And
how much of a minority were you in that school?
oh my goodness, very small.
Very small.
Yeah,
Wow.
I want to say it was maybe less than 10 students
Whoa.
of color.
Are you
It was really hard.
kidding?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't want to focus on that.
Okay.
Because that's not, you know, but.
All right. But you survived it.
Yeah, I made it through, you know. Actually, I dropped out in the 11th grade because I just couldn't take the hate no more. And I went and got a GED, you know. And so I got the GED at the time that I would have graduated high school
Right.
anyway.
Right.
But after that, I gave birth for the first time.
Okay.
At the same time. I have 4 adult children, 3 boys and a girl, and I have 7 magnificent grandbabies.
Are they up here?
Well, they're some. All 7 are born at UVM.
Okay.
And my oldest firstborn is going to be 20 next month. And then I have and that's a boy. And then I have a 16-year-old granddaughter. She's going to be 17 this year. Lord, the time just don't wait for nobody. And then I have 2 13-year-olds that are going to be 14. Those are my twins.
No.
And then I have a 9-year-old, they're going to be 9, 7, and 2. And they are such life givers, you know, because they do wear me out.
Mm-hmm.
But they are so much fun.
Wow.
You know, and I love that they only know me for one address. Because coming from Brooklyn, I came from generational homelessness.
Okay.
And my family came here with nothing,
Wow.
you know. But to still be here and to be a grandma of 7 is so phenomenal.
Lydia, what did your mother had something in her to say, I'm getting out of here?
Well, there was an epidemic of crack.
Okay.
And I was addicted.
Okay.
And I was knocking on death's door.
Okay.
And my mom saw that. And she tried to save all of us by relocating us here.
Wow.
To give us a chance
Wow.
to survive and to, you know, I was a hot mess. I went to a facility here when I first got here, but it doesn't exist anymore, you know. But it helped, you know. And so I've been through a lot. When I first got here, I went to jail in 1995, 96. I got out in 97. Now, I came here without a record, me and my children. And from then to now, we've all been formally incarcerated, you know. And so it's been challenging to live here because there's just so much discrimination where people aren't held accountable. There's so much violence that people aren't held accountable. I've experienced discrimination in housing, at work, and in the community. And my children, you know. it's been a nightmare, but I cherish life anyway because there's so much chaos in the world. You got to find the little things to keep you going.
So where do you get that? Given that, I mean, pervasive discrimination, it sounds like, no matter work, home, community, but you've got a sparkle, you've got a optimism that I'm picking up. Where does that come from?
Well, I come from a group of Black women. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and we have struggled with so much harm because of being Black, being poor, you know.
Yep.
But I was taught as a child to love first and to love in spite of what society says, you know, and to not take society's labels and apply it to myself, you know, because it's disheartening.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know.
And taught, when you say taught, was that mom and dad taught you that?
My village.
Your
my
village.
mommy,
Okay.
daddy, aunties,
Okay.
uncles. Because as a kid, I remember, you know, I was like 10 years old when the Black Panthers started to teach us how to love ourselves. They fed us breakfast. They walked us to school and back. You know, there was health care, training.
Yep.
You know, they
Yep.
taught us how to take care of us first, or take care of being Black first.
Yep.
Because it wasn't, and it isn't a crime, you know, to be Black, but we had to learn to love ourselves, you know, and in spite of what society says.
Exactly.
It was really, it was like my greatest memory as a child during, you know, 10 years old, living on New York Avenue in Brooklyn. But it was the greatest memories of love, where we were united, and, you know, your neighbor, the neighbor looked out for you. They knew your parents, you know. It was a celebratory time to learn how to love ourselves, to love our hair, to love our skin,
Yep.
you know, and to always look out for one another, no matter what, you know.
Right.
And it wasn't always easy, but it's my greatest memory as a child,
Sounds
where
like
I was taught to love first.
Wow, that's powerful.
Absolutely. And I have, you know, the auntie that I spoke of, my Aunt Frances, she's a living legend to all, you know. My mom had 8 sisters and 1 brother. And Aunt Frances is one of the elders.
Okay.
So, and there's Aunt Frances and Aunt Jamie, and they the only 2 that's left now.
Okay.
So,
And were they in Brooklyn and then moved to Jersey?
well, Aunt Frances was in the Bronx.
Okay. Okay.
But we had the boroughs of New York covered pretty much, you know, because we are a big family, and we, you know, part of family reunions, you know, we come together, and my auntie loves to celebrate life.
Yeah.
You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And she loves on us regularly.
Oh, that's
And,
beautiful.
you know, like I talk about the pandemic was really difficult, you know. And my aunt embraced me at a time that I was struggling with the isolation, with the fear, you know. And so I'm thankful to still be here and be able to share that
Absolutely.
goodness, you know.
Yep.
So many of, like, my neighbors where I live, you know, live alone, and, you know, everybody doesn't have a car. And so it's, you know, we look out for one another. And it reminds me of that good childhood I come from.
When that 10-year-old little girl who was in Brooklyn, what dreams did she have at that point? When I grow up, I want to be a...
Well, I wanted to be a lot of things, you know, like I first admired Cicely Tyson and Sounder.
Yeah.
I admired her brave and fierce beauty, natural beauty, natural black beauty. And then Angela Davis was another one that I admired, growing up, our culture, like music, so to speak. We just recently lost Roberta Flack and Angie Stone. May they both rest in peace. But, music today is nothing like what it used to be. Those elder artists, like Roberta Flack was 88.
Yep.
But she was so much more than just her age, as an artist.
Yes, she was.
She was so phenomenal. I remember her and Donny Hathaway singing, and together. They were such a powerhouse, and a lot of it is shown on social media, that good old music.
That's
Ooh,
right.
they give you life, yes. Good music. So, as a 10-year-old, my parents broke up. I became like the second adult in the house. And so I took on a lot more responsibility, and I grew up loving Black history, not just American history, the way they teach you in school, but living Black history, being a child of Black Panthers. It wasn't like everybody was a Black Panther. The whole community, because it was uplifting. That breakfast in the morning, we needed that breakfast. Oh, yeah. And it was good,
Yes.
The teaching us different forms of safety, like going to school and coming home, and then making sure that you do what's necessary, like change your clothes, do your chores, and then you can go outside. And we cherish those times, We cherish playing handball in the handball court. We cherish the fire hydrant being turned on, and that powerful coming together to get wet. We had good times. Oh, yeah.
Did Muhammad Ali have any influence in the community back then?
Well, absolutely. Because when Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest, he not only said it, but he showed it. And he was so powerful, as a Black man, and as a Muslim, and he was always uplifting and encouraging and truthful. And you gotta love that. And when Muhammad, I love that when he said he was the greatest, he was telling the truth from day one to his last.
Yes.
And he's always been the greatest hero.
Yes.
In as far as Black men, and he did a lot of good work.
He did. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right. So there, that sense of community just vibrates that you've. And then your mom, though, said, we got to get out of here. Save my daughter.
Yes.
Yes. And she came to Burlington.
She had a friend who had relocated here first.
Okay.
And her name was Catherine Alexander. So Miss Cat lived here, and my mom came to visit for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And when she came back to Brooklyn, she said, I'm moving to Vermont. But we didn't pay her no mind. Like, whatever, Mom. But she saw something that the rest of us didn't, and I was, like the cause of her worry.
Yeah.
Because, as a kid, as a 10-year-old in Brooklyn, I remember a song that reminded me of a time that was really difficult. And the song was, bring the boys home, bring them back alive. It was about the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of those boys who came home, they did not survive even after coming home because the heroin epidemic, you know. And then when crack cocaine hit Brooklyn, it didn't just hit Brooklyn, it hit the entire state of New York, every borough, you know, and every, you know, black community, Chicago, you know.
DC.
All of
Detroit.
it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was just everywhere. All of a sudden, it had just taken over, you know, and I got caught up.
Yep.
And became an addict. And then I want to say, I found out I was pregnant with my last child, Brandon, and he'll be 35 this year. But when I found out I was pregnant, my mom said, we gotta go. You know, I gotta get y'all out of here. You know, and so she did that for us.
Wow.
You know, she relocated us. Now, when we first got here, me personally, I had no intention to stay. You know, and my kids had adapted immediately. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? We not staying here. We just came for a visit. We've been here ever since. And my mom, she, you know, she met this lady. Her name was Nancy Barber. And Miss Nancy and my mom became the best of friends immediately when my mom got here. And they were inseparable. You know, Miss Nancy helped my mom get her driver's license in Vermont. You know, she taught my mom how to go on Saturdays to, what do they call it? You go to the different garage sales.
Oh, yeah.
My mom loved that. She taught my mom bingo in Vermont.
Yep.
And my mom loved that, you know. And so when I first got here, I got in trouble and I went to jail.
Yep.
Never been to jail before in my life. Did not come to Vermont with a record. But when I got out, January 10th of 1997, I haven't looked back.
Fantastic.
Because I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. My mom came to visit me one time. She said, what are you doing here? You know I'm not coming back, right? And my mom passed in 2002.
Okay.
And her birthday was December 17, 1944. And she passed away December 29th, 2002. So life has never been the same without my mom.
I bet.
You know. And my dad just turned 80, but he battles dementia. And my dad lives in Florida with my daughter, so my daughter's taking care of him.
Okay, good.
And that my oldest grandson and my 13-year-old, those are my daughter's children.
Okay.
So they live in Florida. And then the other 5, I have 3 who live here in Vermont, and then I have 2 in Plattsburgh.
Okay.
And that's my magnificent 7. So much fun. They give me life. And I love celebrating life with them. You know, I like to make my grandbabies feel like Christmas is every day.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And it's just been fantastic to be a grandma.
Oh, that's great.
It's such a reward for being a parent, okay? And you know, you get to spoil them grandbabies and then send them home. I love it. Yes, indeed.
So so you got out of prison, and then what happened? What did you do?
I got 2 jobs.
2
2 jobs because
You
I really wanted to turn my life around. You know, like going to prison was a true wake-up call for me.
Yep.
You know, and it was a really hard time, especially going a couple of times. You know, so when I got out, I was determined to never go back and to make things better for me and my family.
Yep.
So I've been busy though, you know, because like I said, I've experienced discrimination and racial harassment, you know, near about from day one. Like my very first landlord, he looked at me, you know, after I moved out of his apartment, he looked at me and said, "Oh, you didn't pay a security deposit." So I had to read the manual on the law in order to take his butt to court, sue him for double, and because my lease, I had proof that I did pay a security deposit.
Right.
But I read the manual on the law, and it said I could sue him for double and court costs, and that's exactly what I did.
Good for you.
And then my son, Brandon, the one that'll be 35 this year, when he was in the 2nd grade at John J. Flynn Elementary School, he was spit on and called a nigger by 2 little girls, 2 sisters. The problem was the principal had no idea what she was supposed to do. She said to me that in order to call it racial harassment, it would have to happen to my son 3 times. And it just like, it was ridiculous. But it's what started my journey to a black girl leadership. You know, I joined the Burlington School Board. I was on the Burlington School Board for 2 years.
Good for you.
It was hard. No, it was a really hard experience. And it wasn't pleasant. It was like people battling, you know, and not listening to one another, because I got on the school board because I wanted racial harassment to stand on its own. Harassment is one thing.
Right.
But when you add race, it takes on a different meaning. And so that's what I fought 2 years for, and they still decided to tack it on to bullying, you know, and
not give it its own definition and
and so after the 2 years on the school board, I started a group called AWARE, which stands for A Work Against Racism Everywhere. I did a city hall protest in Burlington. We did the Old North End Parade. We came together with a lot of leadership to try to come up with some better policies and definitions to help the school, the adults and the children. And so I think my son, you know, one of the things the school failed to recognize also was that my son did not respond to the girls spitting on him and calling him a nigger. You know, he did not respond negatively. What he did do was go to an adult for help.
That's the right thing.
And they failed him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
They missed an opportunity or a lesson to be learned regarding racial harassment. You know, they wanted to re-traumatize my son, but not hold the parents of the young girls accountable. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to get them to the table and have a conversation, but they refused.
Wow.
But the school also needed accountability, you know. So it was a really, it was a lot of work, you know what I'm saying, to get people to open up their hearts and minds, to know that this form of racial harassment should never happen. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of work. Ooh.
Do you see any progress being made?
Actually, it's unfortunate, but I mean, if you think in terms of the school shootings in America,
Right.
you know, people here feel like it can't happen here, but children are fragile everywhere.
Right.
You know, and adults who make bad decisions for others, especially children, you know, they need to be held accountable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't cause more harm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's been you know, it's been challenging at different stages, but I would love to be able to just show folks a different way.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you need to, I mean, look at DEI today. It's like our president, the parasite, he needs some retraining. Ooh! Let's not talk about other people's kids, okay? So, anyway.
So, all right. So, 31 years when you got here, you got right into, after doing some time and stuff, you really made it a point to help your family in the best way you could, whether that's being on the school board, developing an awareness about Black pride in the community, protecting your kids.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot, yeah.
But I'm thankful to still be here.
And you've run for office recently.
Oh, yeah. So, I ran for 3 years ago. I found out, somebody told me that no person of color had ever stepped up to try to run for city council in South Burlington. And it was like a punch in the gut for me. I'm like, what? I've been living in South Burlington. Next month I make 19 years.
Okay.
But when I heard that, you know, it's like an alarm went off. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with South Burlington? So, I inquired about if it was true. I was met with animosity, but I didn't allow it to deter me, you know, and it was true. So I asked, what are the requirements to run?
Right.
And the requirements was you have to be a resident and a registered voter. And I was like, I qualify, yeah, I could do that. So the first time I ran, you know, I was clueless. You know, it was a learning lesson for me. And I had to promise myself that no matter what, I was gonna have a good time.
Good.
And learn as much as possible.
Good.
So my first run, I got like 100 and something votes. The second time, I think I got 500 or 600 votes. And this time, I got 802 votes. And I'm so proud of me.
That's fantastic.
I am so proud of myself. And I love to be busy making my ancestors proud, you know, because, I mean, I try to get my children and my grandchildren to pay closer attention to certain things,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And it has been rewarding,
That's great.
you know, and I am known as not just my family's matriarch, but a community matriarch. During the pandemic, I worked with the People's Kitchen, and we delivered food to folks who were homebound and,
Yep.
you know, no car. Or we would feed folks at the Battery Park movement when they had the tents.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and people are suffering with food insecurity, and so being a part of the People's Kitchen for like, I was 4 years, I want to say, maybe 5. It allowed me to become closer to my community. Young, old, Black, white, pink, purple, polka dot, you know, and I've been called the community matriarch. But you know,
wonderful.
I love serving others, you know, and it gives me joy you know.
Absolutely.
And it keeps me busy
Yep.
doing more of what I love.
Yep.
So,
Have you been able to recreate that extended family that you had in Brooklyn here?
I have quite a few family members who've relocated from Brooklyn to Vermont. And I mean, easily I got 40 family members.
Wow, that's great.
Burlington, Essex. But the majority, I mean, everybody loves Burlington, you know, but whatever. I'm in love with South Burlington. But I do have, like, my sister lives here, and she has 18 grandchildren.
Wow.
And last year, our family welcomed the very first 2 great-grandsons.
Wow.
Through my sister.
Wow.
And they are such a delight. Oh my goodness. They run in a race because one was born in August and then the other one was born in September, but they less than a month apart. So it's been fantastic, you know, to have 2 babies.
Yep.
2 great grand boys. Oh my goodness. What a joy. God is so good. Ooh.
So when you think of your life, Lydia, and here we are celebrating it, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment so far?
Well, you know, I talk about my black girl leadership, and I was taught to love first. You know, put love first. You know, don't judge. Give folks the benefit of the doubt. You know, even if people are rude and disgusting, you know, God bless you and just keep it moving.
Right.
I don't like, you know, like war. I feel like there's a war on women. You know, ever since we lost Roe v. Wade, and it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And so I try to do my part to keep the chaos at bay. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody wants to be arguing or fighting and tearing each other down. It's not part of my DNA. I prefer to lift others up. Lift and keep myself lifted too. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody don't live to do more of what they love. You know what I'm saying? And I love serving others, you know, the way the Black Panthers served us, you know, because they really taught us things that we wasn't learning in school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to make sure to keep that part going.
Okay.
And I mean,
that's a beautiful gift to the world.
well, it's in my DNA, you know. And I like to keep that good part going, you know. I have a young woman recently who I've known her entire life. And I was good friends with her grandma who passed away. But Aaliyah Johnson is her name. She'll be 23 next month. And recently, she killed a man downtown at Red Square, you know, and I worry about her mental health, you know, because she's lost so many family members and she probably feels alone, you know, and so one of the things I want to do is offer my counseling service or mentoring service, which I've done before, you know, but I worry about her because I know she lost family before this happened. And she's been traumatized by what's happened. I don't condone what she did, but I do understand it, you know, and I do understand that she has a long way to go before she's 100%.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so it's been a challenge, you know, because with Aaliyah, I wondered, does she have does the state offer people of color who can help her survive prison?
Right.
You know. And then recently, I believe I had done on T-Talk with Free Her Vermont, the Jana Ash, I'm always saying her name badly, but Free Her Vermont was on my show, and Jana gave us a report that 40 states, 40 out of 50 states, they all building new prisons. And it's like, where that money come from? When so many people are struggling to put food on the table.
Right.
Where that money come from?
Right.
So.
Okay. Is there anything that we haven't touched on in your life that you want to mention?
Well, I am, like I said, I'm always busy trying to make my ancestors proud, and I want to share that T-Talk has been a healing conversation.
And T-Talk is a show that you do
Yes.
for CCTV.
Yes, and I'm the third Monday afternoon every month, and we are on from 4 to 4:30, and it's been really good, you know, and it's been a platform where I can show off my Black girl leadership, you know, and I would love to have more mentees, you know. I did a mentorship program through, oh my goodness, Mercy Connections.
Yes. Great organization.
Yes, and so you know, I try to have community conversations with new Americans, you know, and teach them their rights, you know, and teach them about voting. And I used to do the diaper bank in Burlington, where I could get free diapers for, you know, the Burlington community, but I lost my muscle. So I'm looking for new volunteers for the diaper bank to restart it, because, you know, my new American community, they miss it.
They could use
that.
that.
So you know, I stay busy speaking for the unseen and the unheard, you know. And my first love is always going to be Black folks, you know, and new Americans, you know. We learn from one another.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's been good, you know. And so I enjoy it. I mean, I don't care. I have some, like I said, I have some neighbors who used to be, you know, city employees back in the 80s. And they are great people, you know. So what? You live this long, continue to conquer in every way.
Exactly.
You know, and they've been so supportive. Every year of my running for office,
That's
I can count on my neighbors, you know, and so it's been good.
Yeah.
And I enjoy good. I enjoy good trouble, too.
Well, good trouble. We need a lot of good trouble.
Don't forget that part. Yes, yes.
Is there a quote or a phrase that kind of you used in your life that you want to share with the audience?
I try to always lead with love first, because, you know, I love a song by Stevie Wonder. It's called "Love's in Need of Love Today." You know, there's
That's a wonderful song.
An abundance of chaos in the world, and love is always in need of love today.
I love that.
And, Stevie Wonder, you can't go wrong with Stevie. Not
agree.
never.
I agree.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well, Lydia, it's been great to get to know you and celebrate your life.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you greatly.
Well, you goes both ways.
Well, maybe I'll have you on Tea Talk.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And, you know, Tea Talk is about a wealth of information. You know what I'm saying? And we share, you know, to complement one another, you know, and lift each other up.
That's great.
Yeah, so I greatly appreciate you.
Well, thank you.